Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm at a station called Jokoji, which is about 30 minutes, just over 30 minutes by train from Nagoya. The station is on the Chuo main line, and whilst the station itself is a fairly minor station, the line is fairly busy, so it's a good place to do a little bit of train spotting. The station is also quite interesting because of its location. It's situated in a gorge of the Shonai River. So to one side of the station are fairly steep hills, and then on the other side of the station, almost directly beneath the station in fact, is the Shonai River itself. The station was opened on January the 1st, 1924, and its name, Jokoji, means Joko Temple. The one thing I can't see from the station, though, is any sign of a temple. Now, I'm guessing it must be somewhere up in those hills over there. There's a little road going up the hill from that bridge, and I'm guessing that's where the temple is. I'm not sure that I'm going to go and find it today, but if you're interested, it's probably up there. I think realistically that's the only place it could be, because I don't see anywhere else where you could even build a temple. Personally, I like this station, and in fact I always try to come here when I come to Nagoya, because it has, apart from its location, it has quite a pleasant sort of run-down feel to it. Not so much the station itself, but this little, maybe you can see, this little sort of arcade of buildings down beneath the station. Those buildings look fairly derelict. I'm pretty sure they're not used anymore. There's also at least one hotel which looks to be a ruin, and one hotel that might still be operating. I'm not sure. I have no real evidence to back up this opinion, but if I had to say, I would suggest that this place used to be a bit of a beauty spot, and the shops and the hotels probably sprang up to serve the tourist trade. I think that tourist trade is probably all gone now, though, unfortunately. And so all there is the situation. And I have to say, the situation of the station and of this little village, if you can call it that, is actually quite beautiful. It rained quite heavily last night, and perhaps as a result of that, The river today is quite high and it's flowing very, very strongly. I wouldn't want to fall into it, let's put it that way. It's also very muddy. Anyway, in a bit we'll take a walk down to the bridge maybe and take a look at what the river is like up close. I have to say, it's actually a little bit scary. But anyway, first, let's do a little bit of train spotting. I like the fact that you have to basically go into a cave to get off the other station platform. It's a little bit unusual, I suppose. I've just noticed, and maybe it's difficult to see on this camera, but there is a fairly big weir up there. It's about maybe 200, 300 meters away. I might have time to go and take a look at it in a bit. You know, I do like this station, and as I say, I try to visit most times when I come to Nagoya. But at the same time, if I'm being honest, it makes me feel a little bit uneasy. I suppose it's the narrowness of the platforms, the fact that there are fast trains, the sheer drop from the station down towards the river, and then today, the fact that the river is so obviously angry, let's say. It's flowing very fast, very muddily, and very dangerously, I would say. Alright, now that train's gone, let's take a walk down to the riverside. Wish me luck. Oh, by the way, there are two exits from the station. This is one of them. And the other one is just a little bit further up here. The steps are about the same steepness though. And I think it should go without saying that there are no escalators or lifts or elevators or whatever you want to call them. This is definitely not wheelchair accessible, I would say. Alright, let's take this staircase. By the way, at the foot of this staircase is the tunnel through to the other platform. We'll take a walk onto the platform later, I think. Okay, so not only is there Jokoji Temple itself, but there's Jokoji Park as well. And both of them are that way. But, first of all, I'm going to go this way and see if I can get as far as the weir. I'm guessing people aren't going to be riding those bicycles home tonight. I think you can see on this this camera, but there's of course the main river, but then there's also like a sort of channel, which to me is actually scarier than the main river. I don't know why. From here you can also see just how high the embankment is that the station is built upon. It's sort of way up there, and as I said earlier, there's a fairly sheer drop from the platform edge down to where I am now. There's a fairly good view of the station from here. You can see the stairs I walked down, and then obviously the station is nestled between the hill and the river. It does seem fairly precarious, really, I have to say. It looks like there's a chain across the road up ahead, which means that I might not be able to get all the way to the weir. Not, if I'm being honest, that would bother me too much. It really is. I don't know. I'm feeling very, very uneasy just here. I don't like muddy water. I don't even like walking alongside canals. So, I'm being very brave here, let's put it that way. Okay, so there's a plaque here, and what it says is basically that dam, or weir, or whatever you want to call it just there, is the Tamano Dam. And the scary canal thing, which we can see here, is the Tamano Canal. And this canal was renovated in 1921 to provide a water source for a hydroelectric power station. What else does it say? Apparently the canal itself is fairly old. It has a history of nearly 300 years. It was established in 1729 apparently. Again, to provide water, although this time obviously not for an electric power station, but for irrigation. Okay, so that makes more sense now. I did find myself wondering why there was this scary looking channel beside the main river. But, okay, that's what it's for. Alright, I understand. So, let's walk back to the station now and walk a little bit the other way. As I say, I already feel spooked out enough walking beside this scary canal thing. But then, just now, I thought I could hear voices, and I thought either there are ghosts or I'm going crazy. But then I realised the station is right above me, and what I could hear was the announcement for a train. That gave me goosebumps, though, I have to say. Alright, while I've got goosebumps, I think what I'm going to do is walk away from the scary canal and through the scary tunnel and go and see the other platform before I go further on and see the river and the bridge. Does that make sense? I hope so. Actually, you can get a fairly good view of the river from here. But what you can also get is a view of the canal, which is right beneath us. Okay, tunnel time first. This is rather reminiscent of an air raid shelter. And yes, before you ask, I do know what an air raid shelter looks like, because there are several in Etajima, where I used to live. So I have visited them. This staircase is very, very wet. Even the handrails are dripping with water. I don't know why. All right. So this is platform number 2. There's someone who looks like another train spotter up ahead, which is unusual. I haven't seen any passengers at the station yet, but obviously I've seen one train spotter. What I've also seen are these cracks in the rock. Now, they don't really inspire confidence, do they? I'm sure it's safe because, well, it's JR and it's Japan and safety is a big thing, but I'm not so sure that this station is going to be here for another 100 years. Actually, I suppose I shouldn't be that surprised that there was a train spotter just now. This station is relatively well known amongst train spotters, I suppose. There's a ticket in Japan called Seishun 18 Kippu, which is basically a ticket for unlimited travel on local trains on JR anywhere in Japan. In fact, I have one today, that's why I'm here. Anyway, that ticket is sold 3 times a year, and on the poster to advertise the ticket a few years ago, this station was featured. And so I think people who enjoy railways or who enjoy travelling by train do sort of know about this station. I do feel a lot more relaxed, less uneasy on this platform. And I think the reason is fairly obvious. The platform is significantly wider than that platform, and also there's not a huge drop And when I say huge, I do mean huge, maybe about 10 meters. There's not a huge drop down to a river. So the reason is fairly simple, really. There's the entrance to the tunnel to the other side of the station. But I'm going to walk to the end of this platform. I was just thinking that it's interesting that this side, this platform, has a shelter basically for its whole length, whereas the other platform only has this little, fairly short, sheltered area. But then I realized why. This is not so much a shelter from the rain as a shelter from potential falling rocks, I guess. Maybe this side of the station, this platform, isn't as safe as I thought it would be. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of platform 2, and the platform is significantly narrower again. I'm feeling a little bit uneasy, especially because I can hear some sort of alarm that would tend to indicate that there might be a train coming. Anyway. I just saw 2 people get off that train, so obviously the station is at least a little bit used. I think this camera isn't really going to pick it up, but just as the track curves to the right at the end of the station, there's an old tunnel. So what I'm guessing is that the old tunnel was the single track tunnel, and then when the line was double tracked, whenever, the new tunnel was built. What I'll do is I'll take a zoomed up shot with my phone and put it in the video now. Pretty obviously, the tunnel to the right is larger and has the tracks. So that's the current tunnel with double track. Whereas the tunnel to the left is smaller and now has no track. So I'm guessing, and let's be honest, you don't really need to be Sherlock Holmes to guess this, that was the original tunnel for the line before the line was double tracked. The passengers who got off that train just now are 2 fairly old ladies, but they've not left the platform yet. I wonder if they got off the train and then realised they couldn't do the tunnel of doom to leave the platform. There are quite a few steps, I have to be honest. The retaining wall for the mountain side of the platform was built, according to this little sort of embossed plaque in the concrete, in 1971, so 54 years ago. In fact, to the month. I wonder what the station was like before this huge concrete wall was built. I've just had an idea. Maybe the concrete wall was built when the line was double tracked. So actually this huge wall, replaces, presumably, an older wall, which was maybe less steep, because the line took up less space. I mean, obviously now the railway takes sort of double the space on the hillside. Alright, back into the Tunnel of Doom again. The very wet Tunnel of Doom, I should say. You could very easily slip on these stairs, in fact. Oh, that's a train coming. I think I'm going to go and see that before I leave the platform. Alright, second try. As I was saying, it would be very easy to slip on these stairs. It'd make an interesting video perhaps, but I don't think it would do much for my back. So I'm going to hold on to the equally slippery handrails. By the way, I never said earlier, and maybe I'm stating the obvious, but the station is unmanned. So there's a little box here where you can put your tickets, your used tickets, or if you're using an IC card, you can tap in or out just there. As I say, I have Seishin Juhachi Kippu, an unlimited travel ticket, so I don't need to tap in or out or leave tickets or do anything really. My ticket is valid, by the way, for 3 days. There's a 5-day version as well. But unfortunately, the ticket has to be used on consecutive days. And I only have 3 free days at the minute, which is a shame. Alright, anyway, so I'm back next to the scary canal thing. And this time I'm going to walk away from the weir towards the bridge we saw earlier from the platform. There's the scary canal, and behind it, the river. You can see very well from here how the station is sort of cantilevered onto the side of the hill. Alright, so we're at the other exit from the station now, and there's a sort of welcome sign here. It says, Aichi Kogen Kokutei Koen, which is, in English, Aichi Kogen National Park, or Quasi National Park. So maybe, actually, come to think of it, the buildings down here, sort of underneath the station, don't really look that much like shops. I was thinking maybe they were shops that catered for the visitors here, but they actually look much more like houses. Seems a bit of a strange place to build houses, really, at the bottom of a hill right next to a strongly flowing river. And in fact, the houses are built literally over the scary canal. Well, there's one sort of shop thing here, and it's actually open, sort of a cafe. So maybe I was right after all, I don't know. Anyway, I think what you can definitely say is that most of the buildings are not used anymore. I'm not sure why it's here, but I do rather like this plaque of a steam train on the side of a wall just here. If they ever decide to demolish these buildings, all they need to do is contact me and I will come and pick this up for them. It really is very nice indeed. Okay, so this is the bridge we could see from the station. The bridge over the Shonai River. This is called Shirogane Bridge, apparently. It's one of those old style bridges where the railings are only maybe 2 foot, maximum 3 foot high. So I'm not going too close to the edge because this is what the river is like. It's quite fierce. As I said earlier, I think angry is a good word for the river today. Let's look on the other side. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to fall into that. By the way, this is the hotel I said earlier I thought was abandoned. And yeah, I do still think it's abandoned, not least because I think almost every window is broken. But having said that, there are quite a few cars parked right next to it. So I'm not sure. Maybe the cars are for something completely unrelated. Whatever the reason, I do think it's a real shame that the hotel was abandoned. I mean, the situation right by the river in this beautiful gorge is, at least in theory, a great place for a hotel. But for whatever reason, it didn't prove to be such a great place, obviously. From the bridge you can see basically the whole of Jokoji Station, and it's pretty obvious how it's sort of wedged into the side of the hill. It is a very impressive construction, really. Anyway, I'm going to wait here and see a train and then head back up onto the station platform. Actually, I'm going to wait for just one more train. I think a train heading towards Nagoya, so to the left of the picture, will give me a better shot. So hopefully there'll be one along in about a minute or two. Alright, that'll do. I'm going to head back to the platform now, but just before I do, while I was waiting for that train, I noticed the ornamental lights on the bridge. Even these look like they used to be quite grand. I think overall the word that comes to mind to describe the whole area is faded glory. I get the feeling that it used to be quite a nice place, quite a special place, but for whatever reason, the prosperity that it once had has now gone. It really is a shame. Alright, this is the second set of stairs up to the station. I certainly wouldn't want to climb these stairs on a snowy day. Okay, that's about it for Jokoji Station, I think. I'm going to head on to Nagoya now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little station visit. It certainly is a slightly unusual station to visit, and I think if the weather cooperates, it's a very beautiful situation. Anyway, thank you again for watching, as I say. I hope to see you in another video very soon, but for now, from Jokoji, goodbye.